how a Buddhist practice can help you to deal with it. Okay, first of all, let's take a look at what anxiety is. Anxiety is a common human emotion that we feel when our lives are in danger or when our lives are in threatening situations. We feel that fear and worry. So that is a common, normal human nature. But for some people, they feel this fear and worry when there is no such danger in the reality. When there is no such threatening situations in the real world. But they still start to worry about it, or they still start to fear about it. So that is where we can do something about it. Most of the time, people they hide their anxiety emotions. These anxious emotions, they try to hide them. They laugh, they smile, they seem to be good looking, but inside their head, there are many things going on. It's like the monkeys jumping here and there. They are distracted and they have that constant fear and worry inside them. Right? It's very heavy. So what can we do? Ease up these things and how we can deal with these things? Well, there are certain practices that we can practice according to the Buddhist way to help you to deal with these anxiety thoughts. First of all, the first step is to acknowledge the anxiety. Because our great teachers they told that every one of us, every living being is subjected to suffering. Buddha said, where there is birth, there is suffering. So no matter how rich we are, no matter how talented you are, no matter what social state that you are living, fear, worry, suffering is the common ground for all of us. So, first of all, we have to acknowledge that my mind has these anxious thoughts. Because most of the time, when people become anxious, when they have these panic attacks and when they have these anxiety thoughts, what they do is they try to hate that emotion. They try to fight with that emotion. The more you fight with that emotion, the more you become angry about that emotion, the more you consider about that emotion as a monster, it will take control over your life. So what you have to do? First of all, you have to do. This is a common human response. Oh, this is a common human nature. So I must acknowledge it. That is the first step, right? Because you can remember the Buddha's word. All beings are subjected to suffering without any exception. This is the first step. Then the second step. This is one of the most wonderful practices of Buddhism. That is the mindfulness. And you know that Buddhism has a great background of mindfulness. So our great teacher Supreme Buddha taught us there are 4 grounds of mindfulness. This is taught in Satipatthana Sutta. So the first one is being mindful about your body. The second one is being mindful about your feelings. The third one is being mindful about your mind. And the fourth one is being mindful about the mental states. So we can do any kind of mindfulness practice in here, but there's an important practice that Buddha mentioned, and that is being mindful about your mind. That is called Chittanupassana. Simply, the Buddha teaches us you have to observe your thoughts. Right? So when you observe your thoughts and when you become mindful about, when you become aware of your thoughts, what happens to you? It creates this little space between you and your thoughts. thoughts.
and so
It separates you
it
from
separates
your
you
thoughts.
from your
Because
thoughts.
most of the
Because
time,
most of
when
time,
we feel
when you
fear,
feel
when
fear,
we worry about the
worrying
things,
about,
and most of
and
the
most
times
of
when
the
we are living
time,
our life, we think
you
that
think
the thoughts are
thoughts
ourselves.
are ourselves.
That means
Then
when you feel angry,
you
you
feel
think,
anger.
I am the anger.
I am the anger.
I am fear.
I
I
am
am the worry.
I
I
am
am
worry.
the anxiety.
Anxiety.
But you're not the
You are
anxiety.
anxiety.
And it reveals you that your thoughts
you
are
saw that
anxiety.
anxiety.
And your thoughts are
You
in
saw
fear.
that fear.
It creates this
You
little
create
space between you
between you
and your thoughts.
your
It's like
thought.
it's like
It's
let me
like,
give you an example. It's
let me
like
give you
the
an example. Sky,
right? Sky is there,
is
and consider the
there.
sky as you, the blue color one.
Blue color one.
And these clouds come into the sky. They are like your thoughts,
Your thought.
right? So what is the nature of a cloud?
Nature of the cloud.
It comes and it goes.
And go.
Sometimes gloomy,
gloomy,
sometimes shiny, sometimes scattered.
Catches.
It takes different shapes and different
take of
moods.
Note.
But still, there is sky.
Sky.
It is not changed.
Not change.
So it gives you this
They
feeling.
give you feeling.
When you do this,
when you do this,
being mindful about your
mind,
thoughts,
your soul, what happened to
you?
you?
You're watching your thoughts.
You're watching your
without
thoughts
judging,
without judging,
without comparing yourself
comparing
with them,
yourself,
without being worrying.
worrying,
You just watch your
interesting
thoughts.
what your soul.
When you separate,
When you
your mind,
separate your
yourself from
mindset,
your thoughts,
so
your thoughts become an outside
an
object.
outside.
It's like you're taking something to your
Something
hand
to
and
your
you're
head.
Just observing it.
Just observing.
Then what happens to you?
What happened
Then
to
you
you?
can take your time
Take your
to
time.
think, oh, what is
What
this thought?
is your thought?
Then you can reveal and you can
reveal,
identify, my mind
My mind
is now in anxiety mode.
anxiety mode.
My thoughts are anxiety. My thoughts are anxious. So when you identify your thoughts, that gives you it gives you that understanding. That I am not anxious. It's only my thoughts are anxious. And then you have to use your wisdom to think, what is the nature of the thought? What is the nature of this mental emotion? This is impermanent. This comes and this goes away. So it gives you this feeling of impermanence. Right? So that is what you have to think. And also, you can analyze these thoughts. When you become anxious, if you are constantly becoming mindful about. Now remember, when I say these things, it may seem like, oh, it is easy for you to say like that, but when we become anxious, it is very hard to do that. Yes, it's very hard to do that. Remember, everything that brings the happiness to your life is a little bit challenging. You have to take time. You have to practice it. Right? You have to go through some tough situations. But if you are constantly doing it, if you constantly practice, it gives you the results. So what do you have to do? Just analyze your soul. My thought is anxious mode. So what gave me this anxiety? Always remember, your anxiety is always triggered by an emotion. A delusional emotion. So you can analyze the thought. What made me anxious? What made me fear? Then you can go deep into it. And then you can find, when you're not judging it, you can find, this is not something to be fear of. This is not something to be worried about. Then you can come back and think, okay, this is just an emotion. This is just a thought, so let go. I will let go. That is what gives you this becoming mindfulness. And it gives you, and it brings you to this present moment. Right? When you analyze in your mind and when you're constantly becoming aware of your thoughts, you come to this present moment, which is very peaceful. Right? when you're thinking about the future, your mind is in anxious mode, right? Most of the time, when the anxiety kicks in, what happens to you? Your mind jumps to the future. What will happen in the next time? What will happen in the future? What will happen to me? That's what you're thinking. It means your mind is in the future, right? But when you become mindful, your mind comes to this present moment, which is peaceful, which is cool and tranquilizing. You can be here, right now, right here, and become more peaceful. That will help you immensely. So practice mindfulness little by little. This is a simple trick that you can do. Just ask from yourself, what am I thinking now? When the fear kicks in, when the fear or the worry comes in, when you're becoming anxious, just remember to yourself, ask from your mind, what am I thinking? What are my thoughts? Then you can identify your thoughts, right? So that is the mindfulness practice. And then the last part, show some compassion to yourself. Don't expect 100% perfection from yourself. Remember, perfection is not success, right? People have this delusional idea to be perfect always. No one can be perfect like that. Just do your best. Right? That is what you can do. So I hope you got some light on this topic. So I wish you all, may all of you have a peaceful life, a healthy life, and may all of you be able to live happy forever. Now, so today let's talk about anxiety and how a Buddhist practice can help you to deal with it. Okay, first of all, let's take a look at what anxiety is. Anxiety is a common human emotion that we feel when our lives are in danger or when our lives are in threatening situations. We feel that fear and worry. So that is a common, normal human nature. But for some people, they feel this fear and worry when there is no such danger in reality. When there is no such threatening situation in the real world. But they still start to worry about it, they still start to fear about it. So that is where we can do something about it. Most of the time, people they hide their anxiety emotions. These anxious emotions, they try to hide them. They laugh, they smile, they seem to be good looking bad. Inside their head, there are many things going on. It's like the monkeys jumping here and there. They are distracted and they are constant. They have that constant fear, worry inside them. It's very heavy. So what can we do? Ease up these things and how we can deal with these things. Well, there are certain practices that we can practice according to the Buddhist way to help you to deal with this anxiety thought. First of all, the first step is to acknowledge the anxiety. Because our great teachers that every one of every living being is subjected to suffering. Buddha said, where there is birth, there is suffering. So no matter how rich we are, no matter how talented you are, no matter what social state that you are living, fear, worry, suffering is the common ground for all of us. So first of all, we have to acknowledge that my mind has these thoughts.
anxious
Because most of the
thoughts,
time,
because most of the time,
when people
when
become
people
anxious,
become anxious,
when they have these panic
they have a
attacks, and
panic
when they have these
attack,
anxiety
when
thoughts,
they anxiety
what they
thoughts,
do is they
what
try
they
to
try to
hate that
hate
emotion.
the
They try to fight with that emotion.
with the emotion.
The more you fight
The
with
more
that
you fight
emotion, the
the
more you
emotion, the more
become
you
angry
become
about
angry
that
about
emotion.
the
The more you
emotion,
consider
the more
about that
consider
emotion
about
as
the
a
emotion as
monster,
a monster.
it will take
It
control
will
over
take
your life.
control over your life.
So what you have to do?
So when you have
First
to
of all,
do,
you have to
first
think.
of all, you
This
have
is a
to
common
think
human
this common human
response.
response.
This is a common
This is
human
common
nature.
human nature.
So I must
So I
acknowledge
must
it.
acknowledge it.
That is the first step.
That is the first step.
Because you can remember the Buddha's word. All beings are subject to suffering without any exception. The first step.
The
Then
first
the
step,
this is
second step is one of the most
wonderful
practice in
that is
Buddhism.
the mindfulness.
That is mindfulness.
And you know that
You know
Buddhism
that
has a
Buddhism
great
has
background of mindfulness. So our great teacher Supreme Buddha taught us there are four grounds of mindfulness. This is taught in Satipatthana Sutta. So the first one is being mindful about your body. The second one is being mindful about your feelings. The third one is being mindful about your mind. And the fourth one is being mindful about the mental states. So we can do any kind of mindfulness practice in here. There's an important practice that Buddha mentioned, and that is being mindful about your mind. That is called Chittanupassana. Simply, the Buddha teaches us you have to observe your thoughts. Right? So when you observe your thoughts and when you become mindful about, when you become aware of your thoughts, what happens to you? It creates this little space between you and your thoughts. It separates you from your thoughts. Because most of the time, when we feel fear, when we worry about the things, most of the time when you're living our life, we think that the thoughts are ourselves. That means when you feel angry, you think, I am the anger. I am fear. I am the worry. I am the anxiety. I am anxiety. But you are not the anxiety. And it reveals you that your thoughts are anxiety. And your thoughts are in fear. It creates this little space between you and your thoughts. It's like let me give you an example. It's like the sky. Right? It's like sky is there, and consider the sky as you, the blue color one. And these clouds come into the sky. They are like your thoughts. Right? So what is the nature of the cloud? It comes and it goes. Sometimes blue, sometimes shiny, sometimes scattered. It takes different shapes and different moods. But still, there is sky. It is not changed. So it gives you this feeling. When you do this Chittanupassana, being mindful about your mind, your thoughts, what happens to you? You're watching your thoughts without judging, without comparing yourself with them, and without being worried. You just watch your thoughts. When you separate yourself from your thoughts become an outside object. It's like you're taking something to your hand and you're just observing it. Then what happens to you? Then you can take your time to think, but what is this thought? Then you can reveal and you can identify, my mind is now in anxiety mode. My thouts are anxiety. My thoughts are anxious. So when you identify your thoughts, that gives you that understanding that I am not anxiety. It's only my thoughts are anxious. And then you
And
have
then
to use
you
your
have
wisdom
to
to
use
think.
your wisdom to
What is the
think.
nature of
What
the
is the
thought?
nature of the soul?
What is the nature of
What
this
is the nature of this
mental
mental
emotion?
emotion?
This is
This
impermanent.
is impermanent.
This comes
Because this
goes.
comes
Okay?
and this goes
So it gives you this feeling of
you this
impermanent.
feeling of
Right?
impermanent.
So that is what you have to think. And also,
What happened to
you
this?
can
Also,
analyze
you
this
can
thought.
analyze this thought.
When you become
When you
anxious,
become
if you are
anxious,
constantly
if
becoming
you
mindful
are
about. Now,
constantly
remember, when I
become
say these things,
mindful about now,
it may
remember
seem
one
like,
thing.
oh, it is
Seems
easy
like,
for you to
easy
say
for
like
you
that,
to-
but
easy to-
when we become
when you
anxious,
become anxious,
it is very hard
it's
to do
very
that.
hard to do.
Yes, it's very hard
It's
to do
very
that.
hard to
Remember,
do. Remember,
every good thing
every
that
good
brings
thing
the
that brings the
happiness to your life
happiness to your life
is a little bit
is
challenging.
a little bit challenging.
You have to take
You
time.
have to take
You have
time.
to practice it.
You have to practice
Right?
it.
You have to go through
You
some
have to
tough
go through
situations
some through
when you're doing
situation,
it.
tough
But if you're
situation,
constantly doing it,
constantly doing
if
it.
you are constantly
If you constantly
practicing it,
practicing
it gives you
it,
the
it
results.
give you result.
So what do you have to do?
What
Just
do you have to do?
analyze
Just
your thought.
analyze your thought.
My thought
My
is
thought
in
is
anxious mode.
in
So what gave
anxious
me this
mode.
anxiety?
Anxiety.
Always remember,
What
your
is
anxiety
remember?
is always triggered by
triggered
an emotion,
by an
a
emotion,
delusional emotion.
emotion.
So you can analyze
You
the
can
thought.
analyze
What
the
made
thought.
me
What made
anxious?
me anxious?
What made me
What
fear?
made me fear?
Then you can go
Then
deep
you
into
go
it,
deep
and then
into
you can
it.
find
Then you
without
can
when you're
find
not
it
judging it,
without
you can find
when you're
this
not
is not something to be fear of.
something to fear of.
This is not something
This is
to be
not something
worried
to
about.
be worried about.
Then you can come
Then
back.
you can
and
come
think,
back
okay,
or
this is
think,
just an
okay,
emotion.
just emotion.
This is just a
This is
thought.
just a
So let
thought.
go.
You
I
let
will
go.
let go.
I will let go of it.
That is what gives you this
In
becoming mindfulness, and it gives you, and it brings you to this present moment. Right? When you analyze in your mind and when you're constantly becoming aware of your thoughts,
you come to this present moment,
which is very peaceful.
very peaceful.
Right? When you're thinking about
You're
the
thinking
future,
about
your
the
mind is
future,
in
your mind is
anxious mode,
anxious
right?
mode.
Most of the time,
Most of the
when
time,
the
when
anxiety
the
kicks in, what
anxiety
happens to you?
kicks,
Your
what
mind
happens
jumps
to
to the
you?
future. What
Your
will happen in the next
mind
time?
jump
What will
to
happen
the
in the
future?
future? What will happen to me? That's
What
what you're
will
thinking.
happen to me?
It means your
That's
mind is in the
thinking that
future.
means your mind
Right?
is in future.
But when you become
when you
mindful,
become
your mind
mindful,
comes to this
your
present
mind
moment,
comes to
which
this
is
present
peaceful,
moment, which
which is
is
cool,
peaceful, which is cool and
you can be
tranquility.
here,
You can be
right
here,
now,
right
here,
now, right
and
here,
become more
and
peaceful.
become more peaceful.
That will help
That
you
will help you
immensely.
immensely.
So practice
So practice
mindfulness little by
mindfulness
little.
little by little.
This is a simple
This
trick
is
that you can
simple
do.
trick
Just ask
that you
from
can
yourself,
just ask
what
from
am
yourself,
I
what
thinking
am I
now?
thinking now?
When the fear kicks
When
in,
the fear
when the
kicks
fear
when
or
the
the worry
fear
comes
or
in,
worry
when
comes
you're
in,
becoming
when you're
anxious,
becoming
just
anxious,
remember to
just
yourself,
remember
ask
to
from your
yourself, to
mind,
ask from
what
your mind,
am I thinking
what am
now?
I thinking now?
What are my thoughts?
What are my thoughts?
Then you can
Then you
identify
can
your thoughts.
identify your thought.
Right? So that is
So
the
that is
mindfulness
the
practice.
mindfulness
And then
practice.
the
And
last
then
part.
the last part,
Show some
show
compassion
some
to yourself.
compassion to yourself.
Don't expect
Don't
100%
expect 100%
perfection
perfection from yourself.
Remember,
Remember, perfection is not the success.
Right? People
People
have this
have this delicious idea to be perfect always. Thinking about no one can be perfect
Just
like that.
do your
Just
best.
do your best.
Right? That is what you can do. So
That is
hope you get
one you can
got some
do.
light
So I
on
hope you
this
get some
topic. So I
light
wish you
on
all,
this topic.
may all of
I
you
wish
have
all of
a
you
peaceful
have
life,
a peaceful life,
healthy life,
healthy
and
life,
may all of
and may
you
all
be
of
able
you
to
be
live
able to
happy
live happy
forever.
forever.
Namo